T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. minus 7 minutes. T minus 6 minutes. T minus 5 minutes. T minus for minutes. T minus 3 minutes. minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Very big day on the RP show. I'll tell you why. It's because it's the next one, as we, as our football friends say. Yeah, baby. Coming to you live on Game Plus Television all across Canada, literally today from Newfoundland to Victoria, BC. From sea to shining sea, and 32 U.S. states peering in as well. Again, Anthem Sports and Entertainment. Game Plus Television is the thing. Giulio Caravatta is the guest in hour 2, okay? BC Lions radio color commentator, because it's game day in the CFL. It's a very exciting day. Moose is in a very exciting place. Moose, I'm so happy you're with us. Thanks for making the time. Tell everybody where you're at today.
Yeah, landed last night in St. John's, Newfoundland. So we are here for the 2025 Canada Summer Games in Newfoundland. Awesome. It's my first time out here to the island. Great day today. Beautiful day. So excited to get going.
Bro, I'm envious. Jealousy is a deadly sin, but I'm envious. I've wanted to go there my whole life, and I've been invited by great friends that I haven't had a reason. Just tell me, what's St. John's, Newfoundland like, Moose?
Oh, it is. I've only been ripping around this morning, getting the lay of the land, but it is a mix between like BC with the water and the trees, the small town charm of Saskatchewan, and then a little bit of like Seattle, where everything's up on a hill, you know, all the streets like this, or San Francisco. It's very cool. The terrain is neat, and the people are extremely nice, the nicest I've seen in the entire country.
You're not helping. It'd be a lot easier if you said, oh, it sucks, you're not missing anything. It would be a lot easier. Okay, this is the warm-up where we get through the quick 6 show topics, and I'm starting with baseball. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. My Moose Jaw Miller Express upset your Saskatoon Berries last night, so we got game 2 here tonight in the Jaw. To be honest, this show is just a triviality because I can't wait for the baseball game I'll be broadcasting tonight on Flow College Baseball. But the Toronto Blue Jays are off today after closing out their 3-game series against the Colorado Rockies with a 20-1 win on Wednesday. The first-place Blue Jays finished with 5 homers and 24 hits to set a major league record with 63 hits in a 3-game series. They established a franchise mark with 45 runs in the 3-game set. Forget about the Rockies. We've been talking about this all week. Yeah, they motorboated them, but they had to. They're the worst team in baseball, worst Rockies team ever. But the Blue Jays are going into LA this weekend to take on the Dodgers. And I know that you're way the heck out on the other side, literally the other side of the continent. But is there any Blue Jays fever out there, Blue Jays talk, or how do you feel about where they're at right now? Canada's team, the Blue Jays.
There is. And yeah, I came from Toronto out here, so I get a little bit of that, people in Toronto. But there were people wearing their Blue Jays jerseys. I saw George Springer jersey on the airplane and hats in the airport and other things here in St. John. So the fever is picking up. I'm seeing it on my social media feeds, the pitching matchups for the series against the Dodgers, the projected pitching matchups, and all the rest. This is now, I know the Dodgers have taken a step back a little bit and haven't been the dominant Dodgers that we're used to or expect. But this is another big test for the Jays coming off of a series against Colorado, and to see where they're at, if this team is really a contender or not.
Well, and that's our poll question today for EMJ Marketing. And by the way, from impactful speakers to strategic marketing, EMJ Marketing is your complete solution Check him out at emjmarketing.com. Is this weekend series, Blue Jays Dodgers, a World Series preview? And just so you know, over 60% of respondents are saying no, it's not. I feel like they're just afraid to admit that maybe it will be. The Blue Jays, the best team in the American League. The Dodgers aren't even the best team in the NL, but they are the defending World Series champions. I'm going to say yes. Why the hell not? Put it out there. It's what we think isn't going to jinx it, but that kind of makes this weekend series extremely exciting.
Yeah, it does. They're all exciting now, but this is extremely exciting because it's another top team. And the Jays, and I think the fans, when you say 60% say no, I think it's because we're scared to like put ourselves out there. You're scared to talk to the pretty girl or the pretty guy, right? And put yourself up there for fear that it's going to break your heart when it doesn't go according to plan. But guess what? The Jays are in that top tier of Major League Baseball this season. So you know what? Go out there and say this could be a World Series preview. These are two of the best teams, and we're going to see if we can hang with the Dodgers this week.
Yeah. For those that are casually following baseball, if this will get you to perk up and pay attention, the Blue Jays at the Dodgers this weekend. And to be honest, I love a redemption story. My life is a redemption story. I don't know Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins personally, Shatkins, the president and GM of the Blue Jays, but man, oh man, are they shoving it where the sun don't shine. Now, let's remember, they haven't won anything yet, but it's been a hell of a redemption story for them. And, you know, Vladdy got paid. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. And for our U.S. visitors or viewers that don't know, and I see a lot of them checking in, shout out Ryan McCarthy in upstate New York, Carlos in Indianapolis. Because I live most of my time in the USA, you and I have never talked about this, Darren, but there are U.S. sports teams that say we're envious of the Raptors and the Blue Jays. And I'm like, why do you say that? They got the whole country. They got 36 million to draw from. Like, for instance, the Florida teams, the Buccaneers, the Dolphins, the Jags. That's 3 NFL teams in a state of 33 million, plus all the other sports that are going on. So when the Raptors get hot and the Blue Jays get hot, they have the whole flipping country, like we say. So when Darren says on the flight, you see guys wearing Springer jerseys and you see hats in the airport, but it's super cool. Now, it only happens when they win, largely, but they're winning. So that's what we're excited about. Kevin, the medium, has checked in. He says, good morning, RP peeps. Showed up in good time. I watched the Hughes Sports podcast last night. They had Jay McNeil on, the president of the Calgary Stampeders. And we're going to be talking football after the opening break, which is coming up in 90 seconds here. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, sign me up for St. John's, the only province I haven't been to, unfortunately. I think it's the only province. I haven't been to the territories either, however. Have you, Darren?
I've been to Yellowknife, not to Yukon. But yeah, I've been to Yellowknife, I've been to PEI, and I've been to Nova Scotia, but I've not been to Newfoundland.
Yeah, I'm envious of Moose. He's got one up on me today. Rich in Edmonton says, by the way, I voted no. San Diego Padres are my NL pick. John Ohm says, I would love to see a Jays-Dodgers World Series, as would I. Padres won the trade deadline. They won it a couple of years ago getting Juan Soto, but they don't ever seem to get there. So, yeah, it's a fun question. That is the poll question today. Will this be a World Series preview this weekend, the Blue Jays and the Dodgers? All right, good morning, Bill Edwards, checking in from the Queen City. Yeah, everybody, fill up your coffee, everybody. We've covered the big story. Oh, we haven't even talked Western Canadian Baseball League. I'll talk about that later. But the Millers tonight looking to close out the Saskatoon Berries here. I've got the call on Flow College. Regina Red Sox looking to do the same thing against Medicine Hat. Okotoks can do the same thing against Brooks. We'll be right back, everybody.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Nazareth's Canadian Farewell Tour is coming to Moose Jaw. Live at Temple Garden Center, October 17th. With special guest, Lee Aaron. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or sasktix.ca.
Back at it live from the Golden Ticket Sports Center, and I'm going to tell this guy, Moose, I'm so appreciative that he's found 40 minutes to carve out and spend with us. He is at the Canada Summer Games in St. John's, Newfoundland, getting ready. It's the last day that he's going to be on for some time. We'll try and find a way to make that happen. But, Darren, you are a huge CFL fan, and I feel like we have not made our picks yet. We've talked about the games. We haven't made our picks. We should do that today. For Pump Jacks, we're a sports bar. Pump Jack's Cathedral in Regina and Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon in Weyburn. Point two of the Quick Six, the East Division leading Hamilton Tiger Cats look to extend their win streak to 7 games when they host the BC Lions tonight in CFL play. Lions radio color man Giulio Caravatta will be with us next hour. The last time the two teams met was 2 weeks ago. Ticats taking a 37-33 win. BC coming off a bye and have won their last 2 games in the hammer. You said this is the game of the week. You still feel that way?
I do. I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. It's the first game of the week, so it's exciting. You got 2 of the premier quarterbacks in the league. I think it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. I can't wait to get going.
BC, Hamilton, I'm going off the top of my head here. I didn't write them down. Edmonton at Montreal, Ottawa at Toronto, and Winnipeg at Calgary. We didn't do our picks, right? But we did talk about the games. Right. Well, I got it. Hamilton's got this one, don't they? They're going for their 7th straight win. BC winless coming off the bye, by the way, last year, 0-2. I read the game notes. I stay at a Holiday Inn Express. Not dumb. Hamilton wins, right? That's my pick, but I won't speak for you.
I'm going to go with BC. I think they're going to catch the Ticats riding high, and maybe, puffing out their chest a little bit. For every reason, the Ticats favored to win this game. They should be. They're a great football team. They're playing really well. but I think BC is going to sneak one from them tonight, and Nathan Rourke's going to have a great game.
Okay, well, you're not home in Mississauga. You are in Newfoundland, but it's Nathan Rourke's return home. I've seen no talk about that anywhere, let alone on the TV networks, not on social media. Is that not like, I'm not from there, and I'm not a BC Lions fan, so I can't say. Is that a thing? That should be a thing or not?
You say that, I'm like, maybe that should be a thing, but it's not a thing. It's not talked about. It's not a storyline that we're following. I don't see it anywhere, but it absolutely could be a thing, and maybe should be a thing. He's coming home, and maybe he's excited to have friends and family in attendance. I would assume.
Somebody want to hype that up?
So, yeah.
Not my job. Edmonton at Montreal, easy one for me. I got the Alouettes. How about you?
I'm gonna take Edmonton. Going with the upsets.
They're close. Good. Somebody asked yesterday if we're keeping track of this, and it's a no from me, dog. Maybe we'll keep track of our NFL picks, which we do, and our NHL picks. The CFL we have not. Pump Jacks just jumped on as a sponsor, man. Well,
maybe
here's another
Labor
one.
Day.
Cody Fajardo returns to Montreal. Is that a big storyline? Is anybody like? I'm not purposely being facetious here, but is that not a big? Mind you, that's not a big thing anymore either. We discussed this. Were you on with me last week? It's because of the rotational nature of the players now in all sports. These return games aren't really that big a deal in any league. It's not just the CFL thing.
I know, but he won them a Grey Cup, right, in Montreal. So there should be something to it. And, if he's playing tonight or this weekend, there's got to be a little extra motivation if he's on the field, if he gets on the field. So, I think Edmonton is going to be somebody sneaky. I really do. I'd be very wary of the Elks this weekend.
Okay. Kevin the Medium, very happy that you picked the BC Lions to win at Hamilton. A cat fight tonight. Ottawa, Toronto, that's Saturday, another doubleheader. I like the Argos in that one. I pick them to win every game. I'm largely disappointed every week, but they got Ottawa. I don't even know both teams have losing records, so it's the toilet bowl. I'll take the Argos. How about you?
I'm going to take the Red Blacks. They're building momentum. Ooh. The Red Blacks are. They're building some steam. And their quarterback is playing well, Drew Brown. So if he's healthy and ready to go, I think Ottawa wins.
I'll get to the viewer comments in a moment because there are some good ones coming in, believe it or not. You got Ottawa. Moose has all road teams to win so far. And then Winnipeg at Calgary Saturday. Again, you can go to rodpeterson.com. The picks are there from the Canadian Press Newswire. And what I read there on our website, because I didn't write it, is that both quarterbacks are healthy. Vernon Adams Jr. returns for Calgary, and Zach Caleros returns for Winnipeg, which should have a big effect on the game. I will still take Calgary to win. I'm the home team in all of them, but I feel like Moose may not go along with that.
Yeah, I'm going to take Winnipeg to win the football game. And it's got me thinking here. Did the game notes tell you when's the last time all four road teams won? Can't be that long ago, but it can't be that
they don't
common either. It's got to be pretty rare. But I'm going to go with all the four road teams this week.
How about that, everybody? The picks are for Pump Jacks. We're a sports bar. That's what cool Kevin Smith, the manager, said to me when I was sitting in Pump Jacks when we were doing the deal a few weeks ago. Okay, so John Ohm checking in from Winnipeg. Winnipeg. He says, if you haven't played on at least two or more CFL teams, you haven't had a career in the CFL, LOL. Now, he's not wrong, but I go back and think of, I get this a lot. Brent from Wellington, Florida is a great example of this. He goes, because he's from Saskatchewan originally. We used to date the same girl, and we didn't even know it. We've covered that. He goes, my era is Aldag, Narcisse, those guys. They only played for one team, and that's what sucks. Because I do hear it a lot around here. They are talking about the Rough Riders because they're 7-1, best team in the league, but they don't really know who the players are, except for the really hardcores. But that sucks, man. And this isn't, again, it's not just a CFL thing. I remember looking at Stevie Eiserman's hockey card back in the day, back when we used to read And some people still do. I don't. But just read the stats, eh? Detroit. That's cool stuff. And, Chris Jones said, he goes, the days of staying in one place for a long time are over. Do you think we'll ever get back to that? Ever in any sport?
I just don't know because, the world has gotten so much smaller. The players have gotten more control. And we're in an era of, even in a professional career, the days of having a 30, 35, 40-year career at one workplace are over. Like, if you're 10 years at one place, that's a long time now. Like, we're talking about moving around every 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, like from job to job. And the players are just the same. Opportunities for new places. They want to see new things, new teammates, be valued in different places. Players have the power, and so they'll continue to move around.
It is not a criticism, okay? And I don't think anybody's taking it as such. Like Rich in Edmonton writes in and he says, I could not name more than 3 to 4 Elks. And I could name the whole team in the 80s. And I can name, he goes, I can name every Oiler. Hey, okay. Yeah.
There are
Ryan,
half as many hockey players as football players, but
right.
Point taken.
Still, point taken. Ryan in upstate New York says all 4 road teams won in the CFL Week 3. So it wasn't too long ago. So there you go. So the next point I had was the NFL tonight, and let's get real about it. It's the preseason, man. Like my focus, and that's on me. I mean, tonight I'm all geeked up for them. I'm wearing this gear to the game tonight to broadcast Western Canadian Baseball League playoff action tonight. My phone's blowing up. Everybody's excited around here, man, and I love it. NFL preseason ain't exactly floating my boat. But, Moose, there are 3 games tonight. Colts at the Ravens, Bengals at the Eagles, and the Raiders at Seattle. Like, I don't even know when the Cowboys are playing in the preseason. That's how little I care about it. But you, being a Titans fan, are you following it all?
Yeah, I'm excited to see them. I think they play the Bucs this weekend. But again, I think they play the Bucs because that's about how closely I'm following, but they do, I'm pretty sure. And it'll be interesting to see, if the number 1 overall pick in the draft takes snaps and how much he takes and how well he plays. We're all watching for that, the first impressions. I saw the NFL put out highlights yesterday of J.J. McCarthy's preseason debut. And it got me thinking, I'm like, did the Vikings play last night? Did I miss something? But it was from last year when they beat the Raiders in the preseason back in August of 2024. So it's like, you think about that. But that stuff gets me excited a little bit when it comes to the preseason. But that's really about it.
Ken, watching in Mississauga, says, that was a good impression of Chris Jones. I went back and listened again. Oh, you should have seen the early days of this show. Moose can attest. He was there. I did way more impressions. Roy Shivers, one of my personal favorites. But, I spent hours upon hours with these guys on road trips. Maybe later when Moose is gone, I'll do a few more of those. But, we found this guy who was packing TVs in a Walmart. I was like, Murph, put a stopwatch on that guy. Bomber Boy writes in regarding being able to name NHL teams versus CFL teams. He goes, all the players. Bomber Boy says 82 games versus 18 games. Not enough exposure to the players playing. You buying that? I'm not buying that.
No. We used to know all the football players, and there was only 18 games. That's not a thing. The season is still as long. It's 1 game a week. NHL is playing 2 or 3 or 4 games a week.
Yeah. Kirk in Toronto writes in, and he says, hey, Rod, on the Western Dodge text line, with the Yankees and the Dodgers slipping, no better time than now to be hot going into L.A. Well, for sure. But, Moose mentioned this yesterday, that tonight's Ticats Lions game might be a Grey Cup preview. And I said, though, when we talk about the previews, they very rarely ever happen. There's regular season games. But I was the guy that said Dodgers, Blue Jays. Is this a World Series preview? The odds, I think it's just the odds are very low that will happen. And let's consider that we're still in the first week of August. there's a far better chance of tonight's game in the CFL being a Grey Cup preview than the Jays and Dodgers being a World Series preview. Rob in Vegas writes in and says, if the Elks' offensive line can protect Fajardo, I think Edmonton gets the win in Montreal. Well, does it not all come down, in my mind it does, to who's at quarterback for the Montreal Alouettes? Because it's like if McLeod Bethel Thompson's playing, they're not winning. And if Davis Alexander is playing, they do win. And I haven't heard. I'm sorry. It's not the CFL show. Somebody tell me who's the starting quarterback. Like Matt DeBuck wrote in here the other day. Coach DeBuck. He's like, who's starting? I don't know. I'm not on the Alouettes beat. So, but it does tell you, Darren, and you are a football guy first, starting quarterback, this is why they get all the money, isn't it?
It is. And when the starting quarterback plays, your team has a better chance to win. Duh. But TV ratings are up. You sell more tickets. Everything's better when your starting quarterback is healthy. And I mean, I'm excited to see in Calgary PJ Walker get another chance because I liked what I saw, even though they didn't put up the points and they lost. But that being said, they get Vernon Adams Jr. back, and Calgary significantly is a better football team with Vernon Adams Jr. as the quarterback. And it's not close. Same thing in Montreal. So, yeah, starting quarterbacks, they earn their money for sure.
They are, they're saying, again, Vernon Adams is starting for Calgary, and Zach Caleros is starting with Winnipeg. So that makes an absolute marquee battle for sure. When we come back, more on this for Moose. I saw him tweeting about it. Canadian Victoria Mboko will challenge for her first WTA title when she faces Japan's Naomi Osaka in the National Bank Open final tonight in Montreal. The 18-year-old Mboko defeated Alina Rybakina in Wednesday's semifinal, and it got Moose tweeting about it, which you regularly tweet about tennis. But we'll talk about that. And more football, a lot of baseball. We'll be back in a moment here on the Game Plus Television Network, streaming live and found on all major podcast platforms.
Country's hottest party is coming. James Barker Band, Bud Light Buckle Up Tour 2025. Live across Canada with special guests Ryan and Rory. November 20th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca. James Barker Band Live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's the worst segment of the show because it's the last one with the Moose. I'm so envious of him being in St. John's, Newfoundland. Enjoy it, Moose, for all that it is every single second at the Jeux Canada Games. That's where Moose is. Do they still, Moose, call it the Jeux Canada Games? He'll be on the screen here in a second as he joins us from St. Is it still called the Jeux Canada Games?
Yeah, I think it's like Jeux de Canada Games. Yeah, it's all in all the marketing, on all the boards, the rink boards and everything else. They got it in English, they got it in French, but absolutely they do.
Okay, well, we've hit on a topic that I would rather talk about than tennis. But because you're here and it's your segment, tell me about this Mboka girl. A guy I won't be watching, but I feel like I'm the only one in the country that's not. So go ahead.
I will be. I will do my best. I know we have like a team meal tonight, but I'm going to be, I'll have my phone out if I need to, and I'll have my earbuds in. I'll be that guy if I need to. But, you know, what's cool is she's 18, and she comes in the footsteps of other great Canadians who have had really great success. You know, Bianca Andreescu before her, and before that, Eugenie Bouchard had some really great success. Those two haven't been able to sustain the success. But here's hoping that Victoria Mboka will be able to. She's just 18 on the scene in her first Masters 1000 final. And what's been so great is she's been rising to big moments. She beat 3 Grand Slam champions on her way to the final, which I don't think that's really been done before. She faced match point last night, was able to survive that and then find a way to win after losing the first set, match point in the second, and then found a way to win. She has got non-tennis people, even you bringing it into the sports updates here, non-tennis people talking about tennis. That's what happens when somebody brings the country together like that. It's been great for Montreal having a Canadian do well. And Naomi Osaka, who she'll play tonight, is also kind of a fan favorite, a crowd favorite. So this is kind of a dream final of sorts in Montreal.
Chris Jones impression coming. Alert.
Yeah.
I put her in the warm-up for you, not for her. Don't get it twisted. I know how excited you are for it. This isn't Sports Center. It's the Rod Pedersen Show. I want to talk hockey, football, and baseball. But for your sake, you're good enough to join us from St. John's. I wanted to ask you about it because I knew you would be ready to roll. And I love your enthusiasm. I love your enthusiasm over it. From the audience, Devin checking in from Dauphin, Manitoba. He says, we got a cat fight tonight. It was .2, Ticats Lions. Moose voted it the game of the week. I did not. I think that is Bombers Stampeders. But I picked Hamilton to win tonight. Darren has picked the BC Lions. We'll come back on that in a second. Arlen Bruce III writes in. He says, great morning, RP and Moose. Ticats Lions will definitely be over 50+. He says, week 13, Chiefs versus Cowboys. And then week 16, Chiefs versus Titans. Chiefs all day. Oh, his team against our team. I was looking up your hometown last night, Arlen, by the way, because we got a player in the league from Olathe, Kansas, which I believe is just outside Kansas City. And that's where Arlen Bruce is from. So I was thinking of you last night, Arlen. Don't get weirded out by it. Some of the viewers writing in with our question, who starts at quarterback for Montreal Friday? Ryan in Saratoga, New York says, it looks like Macbeth will be starting for Montreal. Robin, Las Vegas says the exact same thing. Looks like Macbeth. He says MBT starts for the Alouettes. I'll be honest with you. There shouldn't be this much of a drop-off from Davis Alexander to Macbeth. I don't know why there is this much of a drop-off. You know what I mean? They signed him to win games in the event they don't have the other guy.
He's been a quarterback who's led this league in passing, right? And been one of the statistically good quarterbacks, and he's had great seasons. It's just hasn't been consistently looked at as a top tier number one quarterback. And, you know, in Edmonton, it wasn't a slam dunk. In Toronto, they didn't hang on to him. So, I mean, he's had these opportunities. He's delivered, but for some reason, we're just not looking at him as that guy. And that's why he's getting all, if I want to use the term, pissy, you know, going back to the media in Edmonton and Draisaitl, but he's getting a little pissy at the Toronto media, the TSN media, that you guys can keep slandering me and picking me, you know, whatever. And I guess I'll shove it down your throat. So here's hoping he steps up.
Moose, this is why you're not just a pretty face. I thought he just led the CFL in touchdowns. I didn't think he led the CFL in passing yards, but he did in 2022. Here's your list of passing yardage leaders for the last 10 years in the Canadian Football League. Bo Levi, Vernon Adams, Macbeth, Mike Riley, Cody Fajardo, Mike Riley, Henry Burris, Ricky Ray, Henry Burris. So, yeah, he has led the league in passing. The thing with, I can't get upset at Macbeth, and I can't even run him down. And for those that don't know, it's McLeod Bethel Thompson, but it's been shortened to my Macbeth by us, CFL, whatever we are. He took a photo. I was looking at the photo the other night because going through deleting photos, and it was me, James Franklin, and Ricky Ray in my restaurant. Remember that? You know that photo. And Macbeth took the photo. He's a good guy, but I don't think of him as all that. I don't. Do you?
Well, you read off that list, and he's in some pretty good company. And I didn't hear, you know, I didn't hear Nathan Rourke's name or Chad Kelly's name or Zach Caleros or Trevor Harris. I didn't hear any of those names leading the league in passing, but Macbeth's name was on there. You know, puts you in pretty elite company. Now, you can give me the quote, don't get it twisted, give me the impression, but, you know, those guys were all sitting there top 3, top 4 every single year. You know, I get it. Maybe not number one, where Macbeth was in one year and maybe not the rest. So there's more to read into it than just passing yard leaders, but he did lead the league in passing. He has shown an ability to do it. He just needs somebody to believe in him.
He has the rings. He has the stats. He has it all. Just this year, he doesn't have the wins, and we all scrub the Edmonton part of his resume. We scrub anybody that was in Edmonton the last 4 to 5 years. We don't include that because it was just such a grease fire for everybody. I feel like saving this for after Moose leaves, but Bomber Boy writes in, he says, the score power rankings have the Cowboys at 17. Thoughts? I don't think about that a lot. I should tell you, we'll spend a lot more time on football tomorrow. Jim Barker is going to be with us live at Western Dodge in Moose Jaw. So if there are Jim Barker fans and CFL fans and you want to come down and meet Jim Barker, the 5-time Grey Cup champion from the CFL on TSN, do that tomorrow. We'll do a deep dive on all football leagues. How about that? But I have not really looked into where the Cowboys, again, that's fake news. I got actual things going on like these baseball playoffs and so forth. I got all excited about the USA Today projections for sure. They had the Cowboys at 9 wins, 3rd in the NFC East. I'm guessing you don't even want to look up power rankings, Darren, because of where your team will rank.
Yeah, I think the Titans, though, are an optimistic group. Much like in the NHL, I considered the San Jose Sharks last year. This is where I'm thinking of the Titans. I'm hoping that they're a fun team to watch and they make plays with a young quarterback, some young receivers, some playmakers that are developing, but they're not going to win football games. It was like San Jose. You saw Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith and a good young goaltender in the back end, and they're starting to see these pieces, and they're a fun team to watch, but they didn't win games. Whereas Chicago was a young team that wasn't winning games, but they weren't very fun to watch, you know? So there's that. But to the Cowboys, I would say we look at these projections and where teams are and we think, okay, that team's overrated. That team's underrated. I think it's 17 on that power ranking particularly. I think the Cowboys are properly rated right now, but they do have some talent and they have a lot of upside to supersede that.
Guy, you know it's not about talent. You know that. It's about culture, and they have a terrible one. So I appreciate you trying to pump up my completely deflated ego, but no. John in Edmonton writes,
as long
and
as
he says
Schottenheimer turns his visor around.
that's not happening. John in Edmonton says that's kind of rude, erasing players' histories of playing for Edmonton. That's disrespect to the city, the organization, and the fans. My God. Hey, John, get over it. Because you rational people know what I was getting at. So, yeah. 30 seconds, Moose. The floor is yours. What do you want to say to your adoring fans? They're not going to see you for a while.
I know. I'll try and find some time to sneak in here for a guest appearance or two if I can throughout the next few weeks. It's going to be fun, but check the socials. I'll try and post what I can too. And it's really great to be out here and meet the people in St. John's.
Go have fun. Thanks for finding the time. Darren Moose DuPont from the Canada Games. We'll be right back. Game Plus and live streaming.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All righty. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're having fun. I know I'm having a great time. Live here on the RP Show. Big baseball game tonight. As I said, this show is just kind of a formality today for what I've been thinking about all morning. Tonight, the Western Canadian Baseball League playoffs continue. My beloved Moose Jaw Miller Express are home tonight to the Saskatoon Berries, and we're looking to complete the sweep tonight. I'll have the broadcast on Flow College Baseball. Regina Red Sox home to the Medicine Hat Mavericks. Red Sox looking to close it out. We got a sports update coming up. I know a lot of you maybe aren't into NCAA baseball, but I am, and it's my show. So we got enough comments here to last us right up until the top of the hour. And coming up in hour two, Giulio Caravatta will be with us, the BC Lions radio color guy, and one of my closest, most dear friends in the Canadian Football League. Nice enough to join us on a game day to preview what Moose feels is the game of the week in the CFL. BC at Hamilton tonight. I'm still that Western guy. I will always be the Western guy. If there's a matchup on the schedule that's two West Division teams in the CFL, that'll be my game of the week, and that's Winnipeg at Calgary. But anyways, story time going to happen here. Brace yourself. Vintage Sasko writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, "Hey, Father Rod and Heel Moose, I'd sell my third nipple again to watch a CFL neutral site game in Newfoundland. Mad vibes, bro. Hope Moose has fun at the Canada Games." Signed, Vintage Sasko. You forgot Canada Games. But the very first time I ever stepped on a plane was grade 12. I was 16, flying to Ottawa for an event some of you may know is called Encounters with Canada. It was an exchange program. Pretty scary. Scary for me to get on a plane for the first time at age 16. Far more scary for my parents to put me on a plane. But anyways, had such a great time in Ottawa at that event. And I remember meeting this guy from St. John's, Newfoundland, and he's like, he was spiritual long before I even knew what that even was. And he was like, "You got to come out to St. John's, Newfoundland sometime." And I said, "Yeah, why is that?" He goes, "Just to see it. And the waves of the Atlantic Ocean crashing off the shores of the mountains. It's wild." The way he sold it to him. Yeah, I feel like it would be. I have yet to make it. And here's Moose. That was the first invite. I've had several since, but the world's a big place. This continent's a big place. But a CFL neutral site game there would be anything neutral site there would be a lot of fun. Laverne writes, well, by the way, it was 1989 that we did that trip because that we were, as a group, watching the World Series, the Battle of the Bay, Giants A's, right? And the earthquake happened. I remember sitting with these two guys I just met, immediately best friends, and we're having an earthquake. Al Michaels, we're like, what the hell? Screen goes black. Only a certain vintage would remember that time. I remember watching that live with these newfound friends of mine in Ottawa at Encounters with Canada. The guy from St. John's wasn't one of them. Andrew from Grand Prairie, Alberta. And another Andrew from Winnipeg, where became my close friends. But anyway, that's what I remember about that week. Kirk in Toronto, watching on Game Plus television, writes in and he says, "Hey, Rod, Macbeth can deliver, but he's too inconsistent. Ask me. I know. From all those years as an Argonaut, 2021 East final loss against Hamilton at BMO Field was a gut punch." Well, and when I think about Macbeth, I think about the 2022 Grey Cup when he got hurt and Chad Kelly had to come off the bench in the fourth quarter and rally the Argos to victory. We all remember that, right? It was just down the road here at Mosaic Stadium. I think Macbeth is cool as hell. And I wish that the Alouettes were winning games with him but they're just not. And to the topic that came up earlier that I feel like, well, it certainly grabbed my attention, and I think a lot of people would say the same. Laverne in Swift Current writes in, he says, yes, we used to know the players on the Riders back in the day, but I attribute that to still grabbing the Leader Post sports section and reading 4 pages about them and listening to RP and getting to know the players. Now that I'm older, I maybe don't do it as much on social media, and it doesn't seem the same, which in my eyes makes it kind of tough to market the product. Well, Laverne, you're in your 60s. So the teams and the leagues will say they're not marketing to you. Not that you've done nothing wrong. But they say they want to market to the young people for obvious reasons because they're the next generation. They're not reading the newspaper, but they are on social media. And that's the one problem, frankly, that I have with the CFL because I don't see enough of their stuff. The gentleman, Rich in Edmonton, saying he can name every Oiler. I can name you every Florida Panther, but that's probably not fair. And Tampa Bay Lightning, I cover them. So that's not fair. But when it comes to how these teams are marketing their teams, I don't know the answer because that's not my job. What I do know is it has changed, and how we do things with this show, kind of do it the old school way. And but hey, you're here watching. We must be doing something right. I don't know the answer. And I appreciate you saying, listening to me. That's the one thing that did bother me. It doesn't as much anymore. That the teams just, some do, some don't, understand the importance of your broadcast teams, TV and radio, to get to know the players. Some get it, some don't. And with this baseball team here, the Miller Express, I didn't want to get to know any players at all. I didn't want to open my heart again. Guess what? I failed. I love them. And their families. But that's not everybody does it the same way as me. Sports update for Coolbet Canada. The Hamilton Tiger Cats look to extend their win streak to 7 tonight as they host the BC Lions. Bo Levi threw for 389 yards and 3 tugs in a 37-33 win at BC Place on July 27th. The PGA Tour playoffs tee off today with the FedEx St. Jude Championship at TPC Southwind in Tennessee. American Scotty Scheffler headlines the 70-player field as he eyes a FedEx Cup title to cap his 2-major season. Canada is represented by Taylor Pendrith, Nick Taylor, Corey Connors, and Mackenzie Hughes. There is a major difference between Canadians and Americans. You may know that. You may not know that. But in evidence, I didn't feel like he's watching today. Brent from Wellington, Florida, he normally does. We went to the Valspar Championship in Tampa, just outside Tampa Bay in the springtime. And somehow or another, I feel like it was my accent. I'd never been to a PGA event before. I've been to an LPGA event. They're both great, but we're walking from hole to hole, and some guy overhears us talking. He's like, hey, you Canadian? Yep. Who you cheering for? I don't know. I don't know who I'm cheering. Well, I'm cheering for Corey Connors. And they were following Corey Connors around that day. We do stick together. The Americans don't seem to care as much about that. Jen Powell will become the first woman to umpire a Major League Baseball game when she works this weekend series in Atlanta between the Braves and Miami Marlins. She'll be on the bases for Saturday's doubleheader and behind the plate Sunday. The 48-year-old from New Jersey has worked spring training games and is poised to break a major barrier in Major League Baseball. Whoa. I just threw that in there. I didn't really realize the significance of that. She's waited 48 years to make her Major League Baseball debut as an umpire. That's bravo. Oh, Jen Powell. That's unbelievable. Sports headlines for Coolbet Canada. Get a welcome bonus up to $200 with a promo code RP200 at coolbet.com. Just in time for NFL season. Sign up at coolbet.com. Use the promo code RP200. Whether you're going to bet on whatever you're going to bet on, CFL, golf, Coolbet will match your deposit, your welcome deposit, up to $200. Deposit 10, they'll match it with 10. Deposit 100, they'll match it to 100, up to 200. Oh, boy. John in Edmonton writes in and he says, for Rod, what will get more viewers tonight? The CFL or the NFL preseason, Vegas versus Seattle? Both are on TSN. Well, number one, I hope that I can somehow find the ratings for that because that's a wonderful question. Number two, I'm pretty darn sure that the CFL game will have higher ratings. I don't know for sure, but that is my guess. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube right now, I've been watching more and more YouTube videos, and the hosts on there always say, can you share and subscribe and like the video? So if they're doing it, I'll do it. If you're watching streaming right now on YouTube of the RP Show, can you please like it? I don't ask you for anything except this. And share it to all your friends and subscribe. That would help us out a lot here. Bomber Boy writes in, he says, me too, Rod. I'm dying for more CFL content and coverage from the league and from the major sports outlets. Thank goodness for the RP Show. I was saying this the other day, and I'm clarify this. It's going to be taken the wrong way anyways by the losers, but if I had my druthers, I'd love to have a CFL channel on Sirius XM satellite radio. A CFL network would be great. I think that horse is out of the barn. But the losers will go, you just want that so you can host it. Nope. I want that because I'm a fan. I would love to listen to it. We'll continue this in hour two right after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hour 2 of the RP Show, coming at you live from the Golden Ticket Sports Center, home of the Golden Ticket Minor Basketball and the Golden Ticket Volleyball Club. Join us for top-tier training, leagues, and events. Visit GoldenTicketSportsCenter.com for more information. Oh, we're having fun today. You know what you can tell when you're having fun is when it goes fast. And that's what we've had today. Giulio Caravatta coming up in the next segment. The radio voice of the BC Lions, color commentator of the BC Lions, former Grey Cup winning punter and quarterback with the BC Lions. Can't wait, because tonight, Week 10 in the Canadian Football League kicks off. The Hamilton Tiger Cats home to Giulio's BC Lions. We've had, as always, a lot of fun topics spring up on the program today that we did not expect. I have not replaced the Quick Six show horn, but I feel like today might be a great day to do that. So in the absence of John Ohm from Winnipeg, he left to go golfing because it's Thursday. Why do I know that? Here are the Quick Six show topics. We open with baseball. The Blue Jays coming off a sweep of the Colorado Rockies, setting a record, a club record for runs scored in a 3-game series. I think it was 45. They beat them 20-1 yesterday. Jays are off today, headed to L.A. this weekend for a weekend set against the Dodgers. Now, the Dodgers are not even the best team in the National League record-wise, but they are the defending World Series champions. Our poll question today for EMJ Marketing is this going to be a World Series preview this weekend? The Blue Jays and the Dodgers, will they meet in the World Series? Last I looked, 65% of respondents saying, no, it's not going to be a World Series. Can you imagine if it is? And I just feel like I want to be positive about things today and every day. So let's say that it is. What we vote here or say isn't going to jinx it. We're all going to be paying attention to see how it goes. Dodgers home to the Blue Jays this weekend. And then on the baseball vote note, because the big story is what we open the program with every day. It's not just the Blue Jays, but baseball. It's the Western Canadian Baseball League. I love this. My phone's blowing up with my friends, people I don't know. We are in the playoffs. And my Moose Jaw Miller Express last night went up to Saskatoon. I watched it on Flow College. Upset the Berries, the Saskatoon Berries in the Berry Patch, 6-4, coming home tonight to sweep it. These are quick series, okay? It's NCAA baseball. All the athletes are collegiate athletes, some NAIA, but you get it. And that was an upset win last night in Saskatoon. Tonight I'll be broadcasting the home game here on Flow College Baseball. Regina Red Sox looking to sweep out Medicine Hat with a home win at Curry Field. And Okotoks can sweep Brooks with a win tonight. And then Lethbridge, Sylvan Lake was rained out in Sylvan, and I don't know when they're going to play. But it's very exciting. It's a big deal. And you guys were talking about the players, which I'll get to. That was one of the topics today that I loved the most. We don't know who the players are in some of the leagues, primarily the CFL. And I don't know. The one gentleman, Laverne, said, I got to know the riders by listening to you. And I appreciate that, Laverne, making it sound like you are younger than me. I'm joking. But with the Millers, our 6'5" right-hander from Terrell, Texas, Weston Walls, the WCBL strikeout king, led the Millers to the win last night in Saskatoon, which I knew that he would. And when his family was up from Terrell, Texas, I always seek out the dads, okay? So I met his dad, Winston, who's just a 60-year-old version of Weston. And so I'm talking to him and getting the lay of the land. And then the mom, like elbowing people out of the way. I got to meet that guy. That's Rod. That's the broadcaster. Rod, I got to meet this guy. Next thing you know, Jed's a millionaire. You know, just getting to know the players, telling their stories. Even when I watch the games in some leagues, I'm not telling the players' stories. Laverne's right. It's not like it used to be. He said he used to go through the newspaper and read the pages of coverage about the players. That's not happening anymore. So what is happening now to get to know the players? I don't know. I know you're 61. We have it here. Laverne and Swift Current. You didn't know that when you signed up on our text line. It has your age. How about that? Point 2 is that CFL game tonight. The East Division leading Hamilton Tiger Cats look to extend their win streak to 7 when they host the BC Lions. Giulio will be joining us from the Lions radio crew next segment to preview the game. I mean, that's another one. Nathan Rourke's coming home. Haven't seen a big hype about that. Maybe it's not a big deal. I don't know. I'm not from the GTA. But Nathan Rourke is. And he's leading. I feel like when Brandon Bridge came in with us, with the Rough Riders, Air Canada, it was a big deal that Brandon Bridge was coming home with us, and he started against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. We won that game. I think it was 2016. Anyways, I picked the Ticats to win tonight and win their 7th in a row. Moose picked the BC Lions. I do want to give a shout-out to Kevin the Medium. He's watching today from Calgary. I watched his podcast live last night. I'm going to put more of my thoughts in my weekend column, by the way, my weekend newsletter, which you can sign up for free right now at rodpeterson.com. But he had Jay McNeil on, the president of the Calgary Stampeders, longtime offensive lineman for the Stamps. I think it was 14 seasons that he played with the Stamps. The only team. They talked about that last night. Kev was like, you only played for one team. Why was that? Which he gave a great answer. That's the one thing we talked about in hour one on this show is the players are changing teams all the time. And that's made it very hard to gravitate to the players, specifically in the CFL, because in the NHL, they're up in your face. They're being marketed enough. And then Kevin asked Jay, what made you want to be the president of the Stampeders? He played for them for, like I said, 14 seasons. I think they said 94 to 07. And he goes, I love football. I love Calgary, and I love the Stampeders. Pretty easy. It's a good interview. Way to go, Kev. And then we made our picks last hour of the other games this weekend of the CFL. I won't redo those. Moose joined us from St. John's, Newfoundland, and the Jeux Canada Games. He is working there with Team Saskatchewan, doing PR and communications. He's been doing it for several years, and he said he'll keep doing it as long as they'll have him. And I said I was envious that he's in St. John's, Newfoundland, because I've never been. I've heard unbelievable things. Kevin the Medium, that same Kevin the Medium writes in, he says, let's take this show to the East Coast. I love this idea. Now would have been a good time to do it. I have zero interest in going in the winter. I'll tell you that for free. I feel like now would be the time to do it. The Jeux Canada Games. Oop. Maybe next time. In the middle of all of this, I was talking about meeting the guy from St. John's, Newfoundland on a high school exchange program I was on to Ottawa back in 1989. And I said I was watching the World Series there with my newfound friends in Ottawa at the Terry Fox Center. And when the earthquake happened in the 89 World Series, the Bay, what do they call it? The Battle of the Bay? A's and the Giants. I was so big into baseball back then. It's kind of cool that it's come back around several decades later. Ryan in upstate New York writes in and he says, I remember the 89 World Series. I was in the 7th grade. It's pretty rank stuff. You're watching an earthquake live on television and the screen goes black. It's like, oh my God. It was 1989. We didn't have the internet. What did San Francisco fall into the Bay? Which it almost did. Wayne in BC writes and he says, Rod, I remember watching on TV and seeing the aftermath of the collapsed freeway near the stadium. It's one of those, where were you when? Was it ever? Was it ever, bro? Hang on. Ooh. Carter Osborne writes in and he says, who do you think will meet in the WCBL finals, Rod? Number one, Carter, where are you watching from, brah? That's what I want to know. Are you one of the famous Osborne family from the Big O, Omaha, Nebraska, that I got to know so well last year? You part of that clan? I think it's going to be the Okotoks Dogs and the Moose Jaw Miller Express. Unfinished business. A rematch of last year's league final. I've said it here a few times, and it is not an insult. People here in Moose Jaw understand. I said it's 1985 all over again here in Moose Jaw. And it's anybody that was alive in 1985, that's when producer Corey was born, that was a great time. It was a really great time. And we had a team wind up on Tuesday night with the Millers, and there I learned. You'd think I would know this, but I didn't. But we have the youngest team in the WCBL. And one of our board members, James Gallo, who you'll meet next week, he's coming on this show to co-host with me, said it doesn't matter that you're the youngest team or that we were from one of the smallest cities in the league. It don't matter. We're going to go win this thing. Pizza was served. Little baseballs with the Miller's logo on them. Cookies. I didn't see any other teams doing that. That's like a 1985 thing. And then yesterday, I was walking through the Town and Country Mall, and there's a vintage store. And they had like a 1975 color TV operational playing cartoons. SpongeBob was on. And kids were all gathered around in front watching this old school. I'm like, 1985. I'm telling you. They do it old school. And it's not old. It's vintage. And I love it. I was saying earlier. So that's my answer to you, Carter. Okotoks Moose Jaw. Why not? We did it last year. Carlos in Indianapolis wants to know, does producer Corey have a sound effect for the Quick Six show? He doesn't need one. That's not his job. It's my job. And I've been remiss in replacing the kazoo, which I broke, which I only dropped it on the floor and it broke. I mean, whatever. Do you have a kazoo laying around, Corey? I don't think you do you? He says he might. So the topic came up earlier about not knowing the players and marketing the leagues and blah, blah, blah. And I said, just before the break, I said, if I had my druthers, I would love to see or hear a CFL channel on satellite radio. Because what I listen to is satellite radio a lot. I'm getting more and more and more into YouTube and podcasts like everybody else. But I really love the satellite radio because I love NHL radio. I love Pro Football Talk radio. And I just feel like it would be a natural thing for CFL, who has a partnership already with SiriusXM, to have a channel. And there's a way to do it successfully, I think. And as I said, I'll say it again for your benefit if you weren't watching. I said people will say, oh, you only want it so you could be on there. No. I want it because I'm a fan of the league, and I want more coverage. It's 11:11 Mountain for those that are for those that celebrate. 1:11 Eastern. And don't say you didn't think it, because some of you out there would have thought that. I mean, I don't think that way. But back in the day, I was trying to get John Frenzy, the Hall of Fame Rough Riders broadcaster from 1972 to 1982, my mentor, trying to get him into the Rough Riders Hall of Fame, the Plaza of Honor. And one of the guys that I worked with, who we will not name, said to me, oh, you just want to get him in there so you'll get in there one day. What? Who thinks like that? But there are people that think like that. When I owned the pizza restaurant, we did a thing where $1 from every pizza sold would go to the Humboldt Broncos recovery efforts. We had people knocking on our door going, you're trying to profit off a tragedy. What? And by the way, what the hell are you doing besides nothing? So what we do is we ignore those people. 902-518-3033. Regarding Kevin the Medium's interview last night with Jay McNeil, which I really enjoyed. I just think the CFL needs to get their people out more, like Jay McNeil, the Stampeders president, being on Kevin's podcast last night, the Hughes Sports Podcast. He says, thanks, buddy, coming from pro. That makes me get all the feels. Oh, Carter is in Calgary. He says, I'm speaking from Calgary. The Dogs and Berries would be an amazing series in the final, but my Berries have to get through your Miller Express first. Well, one thing about Moose Jaw, they, and I can confidently say we now, are pretty humble about these things. I've changed. I never used to be. I am now. They've always been humble. You didn't see us saying we were going to go up to Saskatoon and beat their ass, or that we're going to sweep them. No, that's the way I used to talk. And it was fun. That's the way Luke Wilson talks and these guys now, but I got summarily trounced for it to the point that I don't talk like that anymore. Let's just go up there and play our best. And that's what happened. I got stalled in my, I got bogged down in viewer comments here, which is fine. Again, my idea of the satellite radio. Wayne in BC says, that's a great idea, Rod. I listen to Sirius XM radio a lot and would love to have a CFL channel to listen to. You could have every game on there. You could have 6 hours of programming and then repeat it on a loop all throughout the day like they do with Howard Stern. But you know what? What do I know about broadcasting? Clearly nothing, because I get told that regularly. NFL, 3 games tonight. Colts at the Ravens, Cincinnati Bengals at the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Raiders at the Seahawks. John in Edmonton wrote in last hour and said, who will have the higher ratings tonight? The NFL preseason game in Canada. NFL preseason Raiders, Seahawks, or CFL Lions, Ticats. And I would suggest to you, all and sundry, the CFL game will have more ratings and higher ratings in Canada than the NFL preseason game between the Raiders and the Seahawks. But you know what? I don't know. That's why we have ratings. It is a contest. Giulio joins us right after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. Big day on the RP show. Big because it's the next one. Happy Thursday. And we're so excited to welcome Giulio Caravatta to the broadcast. Hey, the longtime Hall of Fame radio color man for the BC Lions. Hey, you're home, Julie. You're home back in the GTA. Lions at Ticats tonight. So to find some time for us, I'm very grateful. How does it feel to be home?
Well, I'm actually at my home. I'm at my mom's house, so it's been wonderful. It's always a little quick, but anytime I get a chance to see my family, it's a great thing. And you know, Roddy, whenever I'm here, I get stuffed to the max. So
yes,
I just finished eating a veal sandwich for lunch, and my mother's going to probably have about 4 or 5 bags for me with food in it on my way to Hamilton.
She always spoils her Giulio. Well, listen, I got to imagine you being a Toronto boy, you must be a Blue Jays fan. And by the way, I'm doubly honored that you would take the time out to join us. So thank you, Giulio. Our poll question is this a World Series preview this weekend, the Dodgers and the Blue Jays? What do you think?
Yeah, I hope so. You know, you're right. I am a Blue Jays fan, and I don't know if I ever told you this, but when I was a kid growing up here in Toronto, I worked on the Blue Jays ground crew. And so I was there for 3 years. My final year was 1985 when they won the American League East Championship.
Wow.
So, yeah, they're near and dear to my heart, and I hope that they can keep this run going because it looks like they've got guys right through the lineup that can all hit. And as long as they can get some pitching down the stretch when it matters the most, I think they're going to have a chance.
Well, and here's the thing. You've lived in Vancouver now longer than you lived in Toronto. So I don't know what you are, but could you say, are you who is Vancouver's team, the Blue Jays or the Mariners or somebody else?
Well, I think there are a lot of Blue Jay fans in Vancouver. I think that's very evident when you see a Blue Jay game in Seattle and how many people migrate down there to see the Jays. So I definitely say that the majority are Blue Jays fans. And I think you probably have a few that their allegiances to Seattle, but I think the majority would be Blue Jays.
Well, you didn't come on here expecting to talk baseball. I know that. We're talking about the game of the week. Well, Moose, my co-host, voted this the game of the week. BC at Hamilton. I still got Stamps Bombers. I'm sorry. But it's going to be a doozy. What are your thoughts on this BC at Hamilton game tonight in the CFL?
Well, I mean, this is a big game for the Lions. There's no question, right? They need to keep pace with what's going on in the West. I think they're still reeling over the disappointment of giving up a 10-point lead with just under 3 minutes left in that game and losing that football game to Hamilton at home. I'm sure that stings, but they've got another opportunity. They're coming off a bit of a break with some time off. And the fact, too, that Hamilton played on Saturday in Edmonton, I think they're probably a little tired the way they're going, and the Lions are going to take advantage of it. But, I mean, the way Bo Levi is playing over the last 6 weeks has been pretty remarkable. So he's like Trevor Harris, right? I mean, those guys there's not much you can do defensively that is going to surprise him. What you need to be able to do is you need to win some battles up front and get into his face. And the Lions just weren't able to do that. So if they have any chance, it's going to be to, force him into making a quick decision. Now, when you play a veteran quarterback, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because they are experienced. They know where to go with the football, but you put a little bit more pressure on him to make a completion when he's under duress. I think that leaving him to scan the field, with nobody in his face is just a recipe for disaster. He's just too good a player, and he just understands the game way too well, to not be successful. He's patient enough where he'll hit people underneath, and then when he has opportunities and he's got the weapons where he can hit people deep, he can take advantage of you. So, they're going to have their hands full.
Well, I'll tell you what, I love a redemption story. I was saying last hour, my life is a redemption story. Bo's renaissance in Hamilton is a redemption story. So I can't say that I'm cheering for them per se, but it was a hell of an ending in BC last week. I watched all the games, as you know. It was a tighter one than your last home game against Sask. You guys weren't really in that one. And at 3-5, what is missing with the BC Lions?
Roddy, well, you mean you're a good person to ask this too, because you know, as you said, you watch all the games. You know, I don't believe the games that I've seen the majority of them, that there is that much difference between the top teams and everybody else. You know, one of the things that's been killing the Lions is that lack of execution, especially in critical moments, right? Like you can go back to a whole bunch of, you know, those 5 or 6 critical plays that the Lions just aren't able to make at that crucial time. And, you know, whether it's taking a penalty at a crucial time or not being able to defend or get off the field on 2nd and 10, or, you know, convert on a 2nd and 4 and be able to score in the red zone, all those kinds of plays that they just haven't been able to execute. And I've talked to Buck Pierce about this, that, I mean, that's the frustrating part. It's an execution issue, right? These are all things that are, you know, right in front of them. They can fix them. They can have an impact on them, but they're just, you know, finding a way to make that critical mistake in games that are costing them, because for the most part, they've been in every game. They just can't find a way to make a play when they really need it. And, you know, some of it's not been there. You know, I will say this, and I know that it's a tough job, but, you know, that blown offside call last week against Hamilton, that they jumped offside and there was no flag. I mean, that's a critical play in the game where it goes from 2nd and 7 to 2nd and 2, where, you know, most likely you're going to convert that either on 2nd or 3rd down, keep the drive going. And even if you don't get another first down, you kick it away, you're going to take another 50 seconds or so off the clock, and you're going to force Bo Levi to go the whole distance to the field. So it changed the whole dynamic of the game. But those are the kinds of things that aren't going their way right now. And they've got to find a way to overcome that. And if they can't, because they do have the talent. I believe they have the talent, but they've got to get out of their own way sometimes.
Well, if you have the talent, then you have the chance. And there's 2 things that I think about with this. Number one, you got a new head coach. So I don't know if he had to change. He probably had to change the culture. So you're not going to do that in a half a season or even necessarily one season. That's one. And 2, it is early. Like you're 3-5. You know, George Cortez would say, "Well, Rod, we're not going to go 18-0. Like you need to get better. And now is not the time to panic, right? Like I look at Edmonton, man. They're pretty talented too. They're blowing games late. That they can't hang with teams. I think BC can hang with teams, but you're right, it's execution. So it sounds like such a cliche, but Giulio, you and I are around the same age. We've been around a lot. You've won championships, you've lost championships. You've seen it from both sides, right? And when they say we got to stick together, you got to stick together. That's what has to happen in BC.
And that's like you said, that's culture. That's the dynamic that you have to have in the locker room. You got to have everyone's back. And I believe that they're building that. I really do. You know, the culture that Buck Pierce came from in Winnipeg, you know, that's what they were built on. And so you're right, that culture change is going to take a little bit of time. And I think that's the frustration, that when you're going through it, you want it to happen faster, but they need a character win, right? They need something that they can really kind of.
Oh, what happened? He froze. We still have you, Corey. We still have me. Oh, there you go. Last time you said you froze for a sec. You said they need, and then you froze. Do you remember what?
They need a character. They need you know, like that win they had in Montreal. They need to be able to come back and find a way to win a tough game, because sometimes that can be what springs you forward. You said it. There's a ton of time left. Ton of time. But what you can't do is dig yourself too big a hole. And then you got to really, you know, I mean, then the back half of the season becomes, you got to win this game or you're going to be out of it. You don't want to get to that position. You want to be able to keep yourself close within striking distance of the top. And this is going to go a long way in keeping them in that contention. If you lose again and everyone else in front of you wins, it just becomes where you become more desperate towards the second half of the season, and you just don't want that.
Yeah. Well, that win in Montreal was Well, to me,
Huge.
easily the most exciting. Well, it was the most exciting finish in the league this year of a lot of exciting finishes, but that was really good. I was happy for you guys there. Kevin Hughes, you know Kevin, you've been on his show from the Hughes Sports Podcast. He says, what are your thoughts on the BC Lions defensive secondary? On paper, we should be way better than what we are seeing. What changes would you like to see?
Well, you know what? You know what helps the secondary is a push up front, right? That I think was evident last week, and I think guys were tired and their rotation and stuff as far as going up front, and they just couldn't get any pressure. And when you can't get pressure, and you with a guy like Bo Levi and a guy like Trevor, they're going to expose you. I'm sorry, they're just too good, and it puts a lot of pressure on the secondary when you've got a guy who's sitting back there with the experience that he does, is just taking what you give him. You gotta win some one-on-one battles, Roddy, up front. You gotta get into his face. Someone's gotta beat someone one-on-one up front and force him into, using his feet. And that's another part of this whole thing that I really want to mention, because I think it's one of the things that's really, allowed Bo to get on the kind of run that he has been, is his ability to kind of get out of the pocket a little bit. He's been able to shed some tacklers in the box and get himself outside, and in some cases run for 5 or 6 yards. Not a lot, but he's able to, keep himself alive. And that was one of the things that I wouldn't have said that a year ago. I would say, he's a drop back guy. He's like Trevor. He's not going to move around very much, but his mobility has really allowed him to step up into the pocket, escape, and then make some of those big plays. So I really think that's something that he's added to his game. And I think Scott Milanovic has gone a long way in telling him that he needed to use his feet a little bit more to make some of those plays. And he's been doing it, and they've become that much more dangerous.
He looks 10 years younger. He might look better than he did 10 years ago. And I got to thank Scott Milanovic for that. By the way, Giulio, I want to say for like a fourth time how much I appreciate you coming on, because our BC viewers say they love our Lions talk, because
there you go.
In the media out there, they don't get a ton, not like it used to be. CKNW, J. Paul McConnell, Scott Russell, you know what I'm talking about. But with the Lions and the heyday, it's not like you haven't thought about this. I'm saying this to everybody else that hasn't. This rebuild, let's not forget, you guys blew it up. You got rid of your coach and your GM from last year, okay? So it wasn't going to turn around like that. But you win games, as you say, on the line of scrimmage. And the heyday of the BC Lions, I'm going to bring up Carm Karturi here. We would talk about your D-line, Khalif Mitchell, Brent Johnson, Aaron Hunt. He'd say, those guys are bitches. You don't have any of those guys on the roster. They're still out there, I think, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. You're right. Those guys. That run that they have. I'll throw another name in. Tyrone Williams was another one that was. When you get an interior defensive tackle in this league that occupies two people, like you have to have a guard center or somebody on him, because he's too much to handle one-on-one. That's when everything else happens, right? Like when you have those kinds of figures in the middle of your defense, your defensive ends are one-on-one. They're not getting chipped by a running back. They're not getting help from another offensive lineman, because the guy in the middle is being handled by one guy. So when you have that guy, and trust me, everyone's searching for him, and you look at the good defenses out there, that's what they have. Right? They have those guys inside that can really make a difference. And so, Roddy, the Lions, like you said, back in their heyday, when they had that complement of inside and outside, the likes of Solomon Elamimian and Adam Big Hill roaming around at linebacker with nobody touching them, and all they have to do is go out there and tackle, and that's what they were great at. All the great defenses, Willie Pless, I can go on and on with the amount of middle linebackers that have been out there that have really been successful, and they've been successful because that defensive line is as good as it is. And I don't want to say that by diminishing the talent of those guys, because they were all Hall of Famers, but it helps when you have an interior defensive line that is deadly, and that's the constant search, right? A few years ago, the Lions had Stove Richardson. They got him in free agency, And that was supposed to be a huge get for them because they needed that inside presence. And he ended up blowing his Achilles and never played for the Lions. But it's always top of mind. And I know that I've talked to Ryan Rigmaiden about this because I think we share the same, I share the same philosophy as him on how to build a team. And I mean, they're all looking for those guys. Trust me, they're trying to find them.
Yeah.
The key is finding them because they are the difference. And it makes the difference right through the whole defense.
From Air Corps watching says Christian Covington has been a disappointment. Is that true?
Well, you know, Christian had 6 sacks last year, and you know, he came in a little bit bigger. But again, you know what I mean? Like
Oops. I'm still here. Giulio will pick back up with us while we wait. Oh, he lost his connection, says producer Corey. Yeah, well, that happened before, once already in this interview. We got you back. We got you back. He had 6 sacks last year, and he got bigger, and then you froze. And now we don't have sound.
she's not paying for high-speed internet here, eh? She doesn't use it.
I got you. I shouldn't use her internet. Doesn't use the Wi-Fi. Yeah, I got you. So you're saying, I'll tell you what, I saw him speak at the Athletes in Action, and we haven't talked about Nathan Rourke. Forget about Covington, I'm sorry, but I saw him speak with Nathan Rourke at the Athletes in Action breakfast at Grey Cup last year, and I'm like, now I get it. Now I see why they've pinned this franchise on Nathan Rourke. He's all
Nathan's,
that.
Nathan is he's a difference maker. He's what you want in your quarterback, right? And I still think that he's young. He's only going to get better. And I think that when you have a franchise quarterback like that, you're going to have a chance every single time you step out on the field. We know the importance of the quarterback in this league. So I'm a big fan. I really appreciate the work ethic, what he puts into it. He's serious about his job. He really wants to be successful. He really demands a lot of the people around him because he puts in such an effort week in and week out that you know, he's going to be a star in this league for a long time, and I know the Lions are banking on his success. And I think that it was a great investment in getting him, and I only see brighter days ahead.
3-5 must be killing him.
Oh my gosh, he's as competitive a guy as I know. Like you could see it. It really, really bothers him, and it's something that as he gets older and has been around a little bit more, because I think the other thing too, he wants success so badly that he puts a lot of pressure on himself, right? To be successful, and you want that, but sometimes that pressure can be even a little bit too much. So as I said, I've got every confidence. I've seen a lot of guys come through this league, and Nathan has everything that you want: the intangibles, the personality, the leadership, the skill, the work ethic, everything. He has it. So they're going to be in good hands for quite a while with him at the helm.
Right. As you know, when you have a cornerstone guy like that at that position, and Buck is a cornerstone guy, as you know,
yeah,
the better days are ahead. It just sucks right now. It sucks to go through it. But Andrew writes and he says, I'd love to hear the answer regarding Christian Covington, as I was thinking the same question. So thank you for the answer on that, Giulio. And hey, again, thanks for the time. Have a great call tonight.
I appreciate you, Roddy, always, buddy. It's always great to see you, and I wish you...
Oh, almost. It's all good. Thank you, Giulio. We'll be right back, everybody, here on Game Plus Television, streaming live and found on all major podcasts.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And how fantastic was that? How fantastic was that? Giulio Caravatta joining us from his mom's. I got to text him a thank you. Now, that's a friend. Okay, he doesn't get home a lot. He's from Toronto. He's been in Vancouver since at least more than 1994. He played with the Lions in 94 and won a Grey Cup on that vaunted BC Lions versus Baltimore Stallions Grey Cup. But he played at SFU before that. So, yeah. Taking time out to talk CFL ball with us here today from his mom's house. What a guy. He was also the starting center on Rob Ford's high school football team, and Rob Ford was the quarterback. There's a story behind that. The former mayor of Toronto. I see with some of the viewers here, I lit a bit of a fire. Not a bad one, but this is the one, compared to fires I've lit, this one's very small. This is a little wastebasket fire, not a dumpster fire or a house fire or a barn fire. I said, if I had my druthers, and here's the thing, Stuart Johnston, the commissioner of the CFL, is a smart guy. So for that matters, Randy Ambrosi, and I'm pretty sure Jeffrey P. Orridge is very smart too. And Mark Cohan. But that's the one thing I would be starting yesterday is a CFL channel on Sirius XM. And apparently channels are opening up. I didn't know this, but somebody wrote in here and said that Howard Stern is going away. I have not listened to satellite radio almost at all since I came to Canada for the summer for a variety of reasons. But when I'm in Florida, I listen every single morning to NHL radio and, as I said, Pro Football Radio and NBC Sports Radio. There's got to be one channel on there that you could talk CFL football on. And you're like, to fill 24 hours? No, that's not what you would do. You would do 6 hours a day and play it on a loop 4 times over, plus all the games That interview with Giulio right there would really wet the whistle of CFL fans, wouldn't it? But again, you don't know anything, Rod. I get that all the time. That won't work, Rod. Oh. I will say this about satellite radio, though. As a broadcast junkie, when it came out in 2005, I was living in Regina, and I was at the door. The only place that was selling them was Peterbilt trucks. I was at the door at 8 a.m. the day they came out. I want my radio. I've enjoyed it every day since. Air Corps writes in and says, "You're my CFL radio, Rod. You're my CFL radio." That'd be cool if they packaged this show up and ran it there. Whatever. There's enough content with only 9 teams to fill a channel. And by the way, here's another thing that I would really love to see. I would love to see the CFL go to 12 teams. And if those extra 3 came in Canada and it wasn't the U.S., I would be okay with that. I would prefer to be in the U.S. But if you couldn't, I would like to see the Quebec City, the Saskatoon if you had to, obviously the Maritimes. I don't know if Kelowna would work. I've never lived in BC. But that would really make you legit. Like our league, the Western Canadian Baseball League, we got 12 teams, 6 aside, and we're legit. It's 12 teams would be like the magic number. You don't need to double it to 18. And I did not mean to go down this road, but you guys got, well, it's summertime, so. Canadian Victoria Mboko will challenge for her first WTA title when she faces Japan's Naomi Osaka in the National Bank Open final tonight in Montreal. She is the first, Mboko is the first Canadian player to defeat 3 former women's singles Grand Slam champions in a single WTA event in the Open era. I brought that up for Moose earlier on in hour 1 because he is such a tennis guy. The Blue Jays are off today after closing out the 3-game series against the Rockies with a 20-1 win. The first-place Jays finished with 5 homers and 24 hits to set a Major League record with 63 hits in a 3-game series. The Jays are at the Dodgers this weekend. Is it a World Series preview? That is our poll question. 67% of you saying no, it's not. The sports update's brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. We've got it all. Use promo code RPShow now for 15% off. Check us out at seatgiant.ca. Let's load them up. One more segment is left. It's overtime for our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Kevin the Medium says, RP Show on the Hughes Sports Podcast on Sirius XM. I like it. Let's get on the phone. Let's get it. Let's make it happen. We'll be right back after this.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right. Welcome back, everybody. It is overtime time, as you see on the screen for those that are watching on Game Plus TV or streaming. And, overtime hockey lanes in Calgary. We had such a great time out there last week. It's always good to see Randy and Michelle. You still got plenty of time this summer to get down there, take the kids, take the ankle biters, take the grandkids. Just drop them off and let Randy and Michelle look after them. Oddly enough, they look forward to it. 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. It's an amusement park for hockey players. That's all you need to know. It's not a training center. It's about fun. I can attest. I've been there many, many times. Okay, so a couple things. I did the sports update, but I'm going to add a little more. I pay an exorbitant fee for this wire service, so I'm going to use it. Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter will make his professional football debut playing both sides of the ball. Jacksonville Jaguars coach Liam Cohen says Hunter and most of the team's other starters will play in their preseason opener against Pittsburgh on Saturday night. Cohen says quarterback Trevor Lawrence, center Robert Hainsey, and others expressed a desire to get some reps in the preseason. Trevor Lawrence hasn't taken a snap in a live ball situation since sustaining a concussion against Houston in early December. He had season-ending shoulder surgery soon thereafter. All eyes, of course, will be on Trevor Lawrence and Travis Hunter, who's from West Palm Beach, Florida, just up the road from me, and they love him there. Great story. Didn't even go number one overall, but I get why. I get why he's not a quarterback. So, NFL talk. There are 3 preseason games tonight, none of which involve Jacksonville, obviously. But I know that, I don't know, I put it out into the universe here that the CFL should have a satellite channel, satellite radio. And John in Edmonton, who I don't normally give this much airtime today, I'm giving him a lot, and it's fine because he's had good questions. He said to start the NFL network on Sirius XM, they should dedicate an hour or two a week to the CFL. And here's the problem with that, John in Edmonton. They don't want to. I know those guys. They're my friends. I pitched it to them years ago. Here's the one thing you need to understand, because I feel like get out of Edmonton a lot, or Canada for that matter. If it's not the NFL, Americans aren't interested. We have learned that about spring football, haven't we? In all the incarnations of the XFL and the United Football League and the USFL, for the love of God, they can't even pick a name. And now their 8-team league is going down to 4 teams. If it's not the NFL, America's not interested. I mean, aside from college and high school, yes, fair. But as far as NFL radio goes, that I do listen to. As you know, Zig Fracassi, good friend of mine, comes on here regularly. I said, Zig, bring me on and let's talk CFL. It must have killed him to tell me no, but he did because he knew the score. I don't know what they're fighting about here in the streaming chat, but I'm officially not here for it. Kirk in Toronto writes in. He is watching on Game Plus Television. 902-518-3033, by the way, is the Western Dodge text line. New or used, Western Dodge has your next vehicle ready to roll. Visit the dealership or browse 24/7 at westerndodge.ca. We'll be live there tomorrow with Jim Barker. Kirk in Toronto says, I hope to catch Football Friday from the car on my way up to Madawaska Valley / Petawawa, Ontario. Good. Because I get such a kick out of these guys that, I missed you, Rod. I went on vacation. Did you not take your phone on vacation? Ryan in upstate New York says, make it a great Thursday. Have a great day, Rod Squad. Thank you for hanging in with us, Ryan. You've been doing some great shows lately, too. I've been watching. Appreciate it. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, that's right, Rod. And the CFL's strength is understanding its place in the pro football hierarchy. Well, it would be a discussion that would take a lot of coffee and probably some Tim Hortons donuts around that because, again, it's like anything in life. We all know where we want to get to. We don't always necessarily agree on how to get there. So as a huge CFL fan that I am, I can confidently say it's the number 2 football league in the world. That's not bad. These other leagues don't even rate even close, but it's not the NFL. And I feel like Jeff and I are agreeing on all that. But when people denigrate the CFL, I got a problem with that, including those that work in it. That's the one thing. I think that's why the CFL fans come here to watch this show is all those years I spent in the league, I never dumped on the league. Because why would I? I don't feel it. And that's why so many people got offended with the comments of Luke Wilson. I mean, there were things I didn't like, but there's things we don't all like about things, and we just can't agree on it. It's odd. It's odd. Rich in Edmonton says, I go offline on vacation. That's just me. Hey, they call it vacation for a reason. Let's not get offended. Bomber Boy says, hey, Rod, any chance you could get an interview with a Blue Jay anytime soon? I'll always listen if you can't. 1,550 shows, and we've never had a Blue Jay. Pretty sure we're not going to have one now. So I just don't want to burst your bubble. A lot of guys would sit here and go, oh, yeah, we'll work on it. Yeah. You know what that is, right? That's okay. Yeah. That's blowing smoke up your ass. That's peeing on your head and telling you it's raining. I don't do that. I'm just going to tell you, we're not going to have a Blue Jay on the show. So don't wait for it. We will be live tomorrow, as I said, from Western Dodge, and Jim Barker will be with us. If you are bored tonight, check us out on Flow College, 9 p.m. Eastern. Oh, Laverne says he's from Swift Current, off to Turtle Lake, South Beach. South Beach. Say hi for everybody. Flush my toilets. Enjoy yourself, Laverne. We'll see you tomorrow for a Football Friday here on Game Plus.
Now I'm the whore and the pimp. That's where the money is.
How about that?